Hi, listeners. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to another HRO Today Educational Podcast. In this series, we aim to provide you the latest workforce management approaches and best practices in HR. I'm Debbie Bolla, Vice President and Editorial Director of HRO Today magazine. As HR and organizations look ahead to 2023, now is the perfect time to ensure talent mobility is on the agenda for next year. HRO Today's 2022 Top Concerns of CHROs report finds that the number one concern for HR leaders is retention, with 74% of respondents in agreement. One way to alleviate that challenge is by empowering employees to build new skills and pave a strong internal career path through a talent mobility program. So where does HR begin and what should it consider? Today, I have an expert here with me to answer these questions and more. Akash Savdharia is the Vice President of Talent Solutions at Bridge. In this role, Akash drives the vision, growth, and strategy for skills and talent mobility. Prior to joining Bridge, he was the co-founder and CEO of Pave, an AI-powered talent marketplace to help companies grow and retain employees by empowering them to discover new career paths and opportunities internally. Thanks, Akash, for joining me today. Can you tell me a little bit about what talent mobility is and what it is not?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Debbie. Talent mobility is definitely a term that's been a big topic area that's been used in the HR industry over the last couple of years. And if we look at the textbook definition of talent mobility, it's really about a company or an organization's ability to really understand the skills, experiences, and career interests of their employees, right? And take that data to really help them move into new roles internally where they can develop new skills or sharpen maybe some of their existing skills. While that is true for what talent mobility stands for, sometimes folks miss the bigger picture, which is it's not just about moving an employee from one job to another. It's really about career development and helping an individual employee understand, hey, within my company, what are all the unique roles that even exist today that the employee might not even know about, right? And allow them to quickly assess themselves to understand, hey, for any of these interesting roles in my company, what are the skills I have today in my current role versus some of my gaps to where I want to go? And then helping the employee build a career development plan so that they can actually reach some of those career aspirations. Sometimes you'll hear talent mobility just be loosely used to move or redeploy people into new jobs. And they miss that point of talent mobility is career development.
So when should organizations rethink their talent mobility strategies?
That's a great question. I'm going to answer it in kind of two parts. One is, what have we been hearing right now in the market amongst large organizations when they're thinking about talent mobility? And two, why actually 2023 might be a great opportunity for companies to think about talent mobility. So the first part, I think, an organization can really think about their talent mobility strategy if they're hearing a couple things bubble up internally. The number one is in your exit surveys, if you as an organization are constantly hearing from employees, hey, I love the organization, I love our mission, our value system, but when it comes to my own personal career growth, I really don't have any visibility into new career paths or opportunities to grow internally. If an organization internally is hearing that, it might be a good time to start thinking about either a new change in strategy or even a technology to help enable talent mobility within your company. You might also want to think about your talent mobility strategy if you really don't have a good idea of what the skill set of your internal employees are, what their experience is, and even their career aspiration. Because talent mobility, when done correctly, it's really about recruiters and hiring managers and even your HR leaders really being proactive at marketing career opportunities to the right employees at the right time. And if you don't have that sort of data set today across your workforce, it becomes really, really difficult. The third most common feedback we've heard from customers when they start thinking about talent mobility is they've invested a lot in their upskilling or reskilling programs, maybe even purchased a new learning management system or an LXP that has brought in some really rich learning content. But what they're finding is the utilization of that learning content isn't what they had hoped for or expected. And one of the biggest reasons is that learning content repository, it's not really targeted towards maybe long-term career aspirations or skill development goals that an employee has, right, when they're thinking about these future career opportunities in the organization. So that also might be a great time to think about your talent mobility strategy. And the last one really is, if today you as an organization are simply offering an internal job board as a way for employees to really seek out new career opportunities, the world has really changed. Employees are looking for more of a holistic career experience. They don't want to just be going to the job board and applying for a new role. They want to look at all the roles in the company. They want to understand what skills they should be focusing on so that they can build a long-term career within your organization. So I would say those are some of the common themes when an organization should be rethinking talent mobility programs or a strategy, or even thinking about bringing the technology in. But I'll also say that this is actually the right time. When we're looking at 2023, there's a lot of speculation out there from economists that we're going to be hitting a downturn. And if we kind of just go back right to the beginning of the pandemic, talent mobility actually was significantly on a lot of organizations' minds, because when the pandemic hit, external hiring really froze, right, across organizations and businesses. And they shifted all of their attention to their internal talent. We worked with, one of the fifth largest financial services organization, and they were going through a merger during this time, and they really rethought their talent mobility internal programs. They even brought in talent mobility technology, and they used that technology to look at the merger of the two financial institutions to understand the skill sets of their individual employees and help effectively redeploy them into new roles internally. So I think it's going to be more and more prevalent as we go into 2023. It's not going to be a luxury anymore for organizations to really deeply understand the skills of their employees and even their career aspirations, because they're really going to be focused around talent development, upskilling and reskilling initiatives for the existing workforce. And that's where talent mobility is paramount.
So you bring up a lot of market forces that are making this like the prime time for talent mobility. So how important is it to have a defined job architecture and skills when HR leaders are developing their talent mobility strategy?
That is probably the most important piece of any talent mobility program or technology that an organization implements. And the reason is, having a defined job architecture allows your individual employees to understand every unique position that exists in your organization today. And having a defined skill taxonomy allows them to really benchmark themselves from their current role to some of these career aspirations and really have focused skills that they want to develop to reach their career goals. And we say, when we're working with organizations, it is the first thing you should do before you bring in a technology. What we hear commonly from organizations is they agree, but they say it's really difficult for us to get to. It always gets punted. Nowadays, we are able to use AI and market data to really empower organizations to build a agile and flexible job architecture and skill taxonomy. So no longer is it required that an organization purchase maybe an off-the-shelf job architecture for their organization with a skill taxonomy. They can actually bring in technology that can look at all of their jobs within their respective industry and even associate the relevant skills that are in their market for those job titles. The brunt of HR taking ownership of the job architecture, where it is a long drawn-out process, can now be shortened if you're bringing in the right technology provider.
Yeah, that's great to hear that technology is empowering this strategy. So how does the value proposition of talent mobility align with the interests of both the employee and the employer?
Talent mobility is really a partnership between the employee and the employer. And the reason for that is when you think about the value prop for the employee, it's all about optionality. You're really empowering the employee to take ownership of their own career within your organization, be able to freely browse across different businesses within your company or departments, understand roles, understand skill requirements for those roles, and then even start a development track to building those skills. That empowerment, if done right with the right program or strategy, is actually feeding some deep workforce insights and data to the employer. Now, as an organization, you're going to be able to, in real time, understand what skills your employees have today, what skills are they actively working on, what their development goals are across your business. And so when you're thinking about the world we're living in now, it's all about workforce agility. So if you as a business want to change your business strategy, in order to be able to turn on a dime, you're going to want that type of insight. You're going to want to know that if we're moving into a new market, who are the employees that would be the most relevant for us to promote opportunities to internally? When I think about the value prop of talent mobility, it really is about aligning the interest of the employee and the employer, right? For employee, it's all about optionality, career mobility, self-empowerment when it comes to development. And then for the employer, it's just your overall workforce agility, having deeper insights into your existing talent so that you could be more competitive in the workforce.
Talent mobility sounds like a real win-win. Thanks, Akash, for your insight. Until next time, listeners, I'm Debbie Bolla.